everyone. In this video, let's take a look at a horrifying story that took place in the year 2016. All right, let's begin. She was only 25 years old, smart, polite, a quiet girl with dreams bigger than most. Michelle Leng crossed oceans in search of a better future from Chengdu, China, to the sunny suburbs of Campsie, Australia. She lived with her aunt, studied hard, never caused trouble. On April 21, 2016, Michelle was seen shopping alone in central Sydney. Surveillance cameras captured nothing out of the ordinary. She looked calm, untroubled. That evening, she took the train home, sent a few messages to friends, and then, 3 days later, her body was discovered floating face down in a rock pool at Snapper Point, more than 130 kilometers from home. Naked, bound, stabbed over 30 times. The case shook Australia because the truth didn't hide in darkness. It lived right inside the apartment, behind familiar walls, under the same roof. Her killer was family. But this isn't just a story about a girl who trusted the wrong person. It's a story about a predator who lived unnoticed among family, about a mother who never got the chance to say goodbye, and about a justice system that almost failed. This is the story of Michelle Leng. Michelle Leng was born on January 29, 1991, in Chengdu, China. She was gentle, quiet, and deeply attached to her parents. In 2008, Michelle's father died in a devastating earthquake. The loss changed her forever, but it didn't kill the dream inside her. Michelle was a bright student, always hardworking, and in 2011, her dream came true. She was accepted into the University of Technology, Sydney. With full support from her mother, Michelle left China for Australia to begin a new chapter. She moved in with her aunt in Campsie, a peaceful suburb in New South Wales. Her cousin, 2 years younger, also lived there. In 2012, Michelle's aunt married a man named Barrett. He was 20 years younger than her and only 3 years older than Michelle. Unemployed, a failed IT technician. But from then on, he lived under the same roof as 3 women. Everything seemed normal. Michelle focused on school-made friends, worked part-time. No signs of trouble, at least, not on the surface. In early 2016, Michelle's aunt began traveling frequently to Wollongong for work. That meant Michelle was often home alone with her cousin and Derek. On April 21st, Michelle went shopping alone in downtown Sydney. Cameras captured her walking around Pitt Street Mall at 3 p.m. She seemed fine, smiling. At 4:30 p.m., she boarded a train back to Campsie. That was the last confirmed sighting of Michelle alive. That night, she texted a few friends, wished them good night, and then she disappeared. In the next 2 days, no one saw her. Not her cousin, not Derek. And when her aunt returned on April 24th, the first question was, "Where's Michelle?" Derek said he hadn't seen her for 2 days. Claimed he stayed up late on the computer, slept in. He said Michelle had been going out more with friends, hitting bars. It wasn't unusual for her to be gone. Maybe she just didn't want to be home. Michelle's cousin also said she hadn't seen her for a few days. Michelle sometimes stayed over at friends' houses. There was no fight, no poison, no alarm. But something felt wrong. Michelle had never gone off the radar like this. She messaged her mother daily. She was always active on Facebook. But now, complete silence. No logins, no calls. Only emptiness. Her aunt searched Michelle's room. Everything was still in place. Clothes neatly folded. No suitcase. Bed made. It didn't look like she had left. It looked like she had vanished. The next morning, Michelle's aunt and Derek went to the police, reported her missing. called the Chinese embassy. But by then, it was too late. At 10:30 a.m. that same day, multiple people reported a female body floating in a rock pool at Snapper Point, over 130 kilometers from the home. A woman face-down, Asian appearance, estimated age between 20 and 35, about 1.70 meters tall. Stabbed, dumped. Police hadn't confirmed the victim's identity, but they had a name, and soon a match. Michelle Leng wasn't missing. She had been erased. On the morning of April 24, 2016, police received a call from hikers near Snapper Point, a rugged coastal area between Gosford and Newcastle in New South Wales. They had discovered the body of a woman floating in a rock pool, face down, hair loose, completely naked. The crime scene was immediately sealed off. Police determined this was no accident. It was a deliberate killing. The autopsy revealed horrifying details. Michelle had been stabbed more than 30 times. There were defensive wounds on her hands. She had fought for her life. She was bound, gagged, and assaulted before she was killed. The injuries didn't just end her life. They recorded each moment of terror, pain, and despair. What made the case especially strange was the distance. From the Campsie apartment to Snapper Point was more than 130 kilometers. Michelle didn't own a car. She had no boyfriend. No reason at all to be at such a remote, desolate location. As soon as police matched the missing persons report, they suspected the victim was Michelle Leng. Hours later, family members confirmed her identity. Michelle's aunt broke down. Her mother flew in from China, barely able to stand. "We still can't believe she's gone," her mother said in grief. "This pain never ends." The investigation immediately focused on the last person to see Michelle alive. That was Derek Barrett. Derek claimed the last time he saw Michelle was the night of April 21st. They had dinner, watched a movie, then Michelle went to her room. The next morning, he woke up late and didn't see her. That night, she didn't return. He assumed she went out. He wasn't worried. He didn't search, just sent a text and left it at that. Police were suspicious. The timeline didn't add up. Derek was home. Michelle was home that night. And there was no evidence she had left the apartment after 5 p.m. On April 21st, police immediately requested phone location data for Derek at the time the body was dumped. The result: his phone pinged at Snapper Point at 3 a.m. on April 24th. He claimed he had never been there. But CCTV from a gas station near Snapper Point showed Derek Barrett buying water and fuel that very night. He denied it. "That's not me." But the images were clear. The license plate matched. The jacket matched the one seen on apartment security footage. Pressed for the truth, he changed his story. "I don't really remember that day. Maybe it was the meds. I have memory issues sometimes." Police didn't need his memory. They had data, and they had the truth. On April 26th, Derek Barrett was arrested for the murder of Michelle Leng. She had been killed inside the very apartment she once called home. And the killer was the man she once affectionately called Uncle Derek. After his arrest, police conducted a full search of the Campsie apartment. No blood, no signs of struggle. The apartment was spotless. Too spotless. And that raised red flags for investigators, because everyone knows a brutal murder doesn't leave nothing behind. The truth was, the evidence had been wiped clean. The breakthrough came from Derek's phone. Police seized it and handed it over to digital forensics to recover deleted data. What they found went far beyond anything they expected. Before Michelle, Derek had already targeted someone else, his stepdaughter, Michelle's younger cousin. A 15-minute video recorded in 2014 showed the girl showering in the shared bathroom. The camera was hidden behind shampoo bottles. No one noticed. Another video, even more disturbing, captured Derek sneaking into her room at midnight. The girl was asleep. Derek stood by her bed, pleasuring himself. No words. Just a predator silently watching his prey, who had no idea she was being hunted. Experts said this wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated act repeated over time. It revealed a dangerous sexual disorder, escalating over the years. And by 2016, that obsession shifted from a child to a grown woman, from his stepdaughter to his wife's niece, Michelle Leng. On his phone, police found a 30-minute video of Michelle showering. She had no idea there was a hidden camera. No idea. She was being watched. Another clip showed Michelle sleeping. And Derek, once again, standing by her bed, repeating the same behavior. As terrifying as this all was, it still wasn't the worst part. In a recovered photo folder, there were 17 pictures of Michelle tied up naked, lying on the bed, eyes filled with panic, mouth sealed with tape. Her face, trembling, helpless, as if she had just woken up and realized she was being hunted. The photos were taken in the apartment, on the very bed where she used to sleep peacefully each night. The most chilling detail, all the photos were taken before Michelle died. There were no stab wounds yet. She was still alive when she was tied up, photographed, humiliated. The final photo was timestamped 8 a.m. on April 22nd. That's over 12 hours after Michelle sent her last message to friends. Later that day, around 4 p.m., Michelle's cousin came home, stayed for 3 hours, heard nothing. She had no idea that just one room away, her beloved cousin was being held captive, tied up, and possibly still alive. The next day, April 23rd, Derek entered and exited the apartment 4 times carrying garbage bags. Security cameras caught everything. This wasn't house cleaning. This was evidence disposal. When his wife Michelle's aunt came home on April 24th, she noticed something. The apartment was unusually clean, but she didn't think much of it. No one did, because no one expected a killer to clean up at the very crime scene. At 3:19 a.m. that morning, Derek drove to Snapper Point. On the way, he stopped at a gas station, bought water, filled up the tank, all captured by CCTV. When he arrived, he dumped Michelle's body into the rock pool. Then, he took photos, almost as if he was proud of what he had done. He didn't just kill Michelle. He documented, staged, filmed, monitored, as if Michelle were just an object, a prize he had hunted in his own home. With undeniable evidence, Derek Barrett was charged with 27 crimes, including the murder of Michelle Leng, unlawful imprisonment, filming for sexual purposes, house of his stepdaughter, concealing a corpse, destruction of evidence. The trial began in October 2017. Derek, in a prison uniform, sat with his head down, silent, expressionless. His defense lawyer said he had a difficult childhood, bullied, withdrawn, lacked love. But the psychiatric expert made it clear Derek Barrett was fully aware of his actions. He was capable of control, but chose not to. During the trial, Derek sent a handwritten letter to his wife and to Michelle's family, filled with empty words. No words can express the pain I've caused. I wish I could turn back time. I will spend the rest of my life making amends. No one cried. No one forgave him. The final speaker in court was Michelle's mother. She stood up, her hands shaking, holding the translated version of her letter. Her voice cracked. Please sentence this vicious rapist, this inhumane torturer, this cold-blooded killer. He didn't just murder my daughter. He destroyed my entire family. After Michelle's death, her mother fell into severe depression. And Michelle's grandmother, once healthy, passed away. Not long after, from overwhelming grief. One family, 3 generations, collapsed within months. In December 2017, the court announced the sentence, 46 years in prison with eligibility for parole after 34 years and 6 months. That means Derek may walk free in the year 2052. Outside the courtroom, Detective Gary Jubilant, the lead investigator, spoke to the media. "We did everything we could. Justice has been served. But this is no victory. This is a tragedy, a pain that cannot be undone." It seemed like the story had ended, but it hadn't. 4 years later, a middle-aged woman discovered an old USB flash drive in her mother's belongings. An elderly woman, suffering from dementia, living just 10 kilometers from Derek's old home. No one knew where the USB came from. No one remembered why it was there. The woman plugged it into a computer and immediately called the police. On that USB was a folder containing 9 video clips, totaling nearly 60 minutes, all recorded on April 22nd and 23rd, 2016. Police reviewed the footage. Derek entered Michelle's room. She was terrified. She resisted but was restrained. He set up 2 cameras at different angles. From beginning to end, he recorded every act of assault, torture, and humiliation. She was no longer a person through his lens, sighed one officer. To him, she was a toy, a sick pleasure fully planned. Judge Helen Wilson, who had previously sentenced Derek to 46 years, declared, "If I had seen these videos in 2017, I would have given a life sentence, without parole." Derek was handed an additional 20 years for the sexual abuse and filming of Michelle. But tragically, the new sentence ran concurrently with the old one, which means he could still be released in the year 2052. Michelle didn't get a second chance, but her killer did. Michelle Leng didn't die because she trusted a stranger. She died because she lived too close to a monster in disguise. Her killer didn't lurk in the streets. He lived inside her house, ate at the same table, slept just 1 wall away. And she called him Uncle Derek. But the most painful part wasn't her death. It was what happened before she died. The physical torment, the terror, the pleading eyes that no one saw, and the absolute silence that continues to this day. Justice came. But is there any justice that can ever be enough for 60 minutes of horror stored on a USB drive? The investigation is over. The court has ruled. The case is closed. But for Michelle's mother, the gates of hell are still open. The day she died, half of me died with her. And when I saw what he did, I knew the rest of me wasn't alive anymore either. Tom May Jung, Michelle's mother. The case of Michelle Leng is a brutal reminder. Killers don't always wear scary faces. Sometimes they wear the most familiar ones, the quietest ones, the ones that know how to wait. If you ever believed stories like this only happen in movies, remember Michelle. Remember the pain of her mother. And remember, the truth is always more cruel than any script. If you want to keep following the journey into the darkest guys, the people who fought or fell in the shadows, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back with the truth and the questions no one wants to answer.